JT, I know you pointed this out pretty quickly. Brett Yormark stood on business. He said, we are open for business, and we are only open for the 5+11 format. Now, for those who are wondering what that exactly means, there have been proposals that the SEC could get 3 or 4 automatic qualifiers. The Big Ten could get 3 or 4 automatic qualifiers in a 16-team college football playoff. Many of the coaches agreed 16 is a pretty good format. But Brett Yormark said, we won't do that. We won't go the NFL route. We want the games themselves, the results themselves, to speak for themselves. And I thought it was even more interesting, and a lot of other commissioners are going to disagree with that. I thought it was even more interesting that he said, we need to change the metrics. We are auditing how we choose the college football playoff teams. That's a very pointed statement. JT, we'll go to you. Very pointed statement from the commissioner.
Yeah, I've said before, I just think the notion of auto bids, like we're just going to give the SEC 4 spots. We're just going to give the Big Ten 4 spots. Like, I just think it's lunacy. I mean, you have to earn it. Like when these teams, and we just saw once again, what do we see ASU do? Nearly beat Texas. And that was one thing all these coaches were clearly talking about too. And it's like I referenced last segment too, with Kalani Sitake being down to play more of these Power 4 teams. These guys want to play they want to play the best because they want to say, hey, you guys keep saying you're the best hypothetically, but let's actually settle on the field. So I've long said that auto bids would just be absolutely ridiculous and terrible for this sport, and I'm glad that the coaches agree that, hey, 5-11 model is the way to go, because that way you're getting your conference championship in always has to matter. I never want to completely cut the little guy out, and in this instance that's the group of 5, so I do think they deserve a spot. That Cinderella story needs to be protected. So yeah, I think that not Utah, I'm locked on Utah, but I do think that
yes, Utah
benefits overall college football. Yeah, benefits college football in full.
I understand that, and I actually generally agree with it. I do think, though, that one of the reasons Brett Yormark was so adamant about the 5+11 model is because it's going to be unpopular, because people are going to look at what just happened in the 12-team playoff and look at like, hey, your Big 12 got just the 1 team in, and if we open up to 16, who's to say that those new 4 spots don't go to 2 Big 10 and 2 SEC schools? Guarantee yourself a second, and like prove it that way, slow play this thing. That's going to be some people's take here. I think in the big picture, the macro, I actually agree the 5+11 opens it up to where you could have more than 2 Big 12 teams if we understood the sport a little bit better, maybe. But I will say also, like, I'm not a fool. I understand the biases here, and the 5+11 could very quickly turn into that 11 being 5 Big 10 and 6 SEC if we're not careful and don't make sure we put some sort of understanding about how we select.
Well, aren't we looking at it as Brett Yormark's trying to play with a losing hand here, and he's trying to put on a good face and a brave face here, making sure that the Big 12's position is very clear. But I think he realizes that he's up against some pretty strong opposition in terms of what he hopes that the Big 12 can do with the 5+11 model. He mentioned the fact that he believes that the Big 12 is going to be the deepest conference this season. He fully expects he'll have at least 2 teams in the college football playoff. I hope he's right. I really hope he's right, but it feels like he's trying to put on a brave face while playing with a losing hand.
See, I don't know.
And he's right behind you right now, by the way. It's literally right behind you.
It's a sad commission. You are Brett Yormark. I think the cards are, if the cards are in the hand of the SEC and the Big Ten, and you understand that they can strong arm pretty much whoever they want to, then you play ball if you really feel like they can strong arm you into oblivion. If you're in his situation right now and you do think that you can leverage with Tony Petitti or whoever, could finally like crack open one of the Big Ten or the SEC commissioners, or go to Jim Phillips and say, if we do this together, we can make it work, then that's when you come to the podium and you say, I'm bold enough. And BY has said it on occasion. Like, he's like, hey, our conference champion shouldn't automatically be in a bye game in the college football playoff. We want it to be decided on the field. He has been very transparent about wanting the best for college football in general. And I don't think he would say something so pointed and say we have to have 5+11 if he really thought it was a wash and no matter what, the SEC or Big Ten will get their way.
No, I think you're right in that, like, he thinks that that's the best way it could happen. That's how it should happen. And frankly, honestly, if that 4th and 13 conversion against Arizona State last year goes like slightly differently, we're probably talking about like, hey, clearly the Big 12 should have had multiple teams in. We saw what BYU did in their bowl game. All those questions. I also love, as we talk about strong arming and Brett Yormark, though, if Drake would just reach his arm around, hey Brett, I have a question actually. I think it's really funny. I think that the reason he came out so strong, so adamant, and probably the only like real pushing thing he did or said was because he knows so many people will not be in favor. Like he's openly defying what many people will think as the commissioner of the conference, and he has reasoning that I think we all agree with, even if other ADs or coaches might not.
Oh, I thought Jay was going to say something. I just want to jump in and say this. Something else he mentioned too. He feels the Big 12 is the deepest conference in college football. I actually don't know if I agree with that. Do you guys?
Hold it. That's segment 3.
You
Hold
didn't.
it.
We are in person. You still didn't give us a rundown. Like, I just want to make that clear.
Because there are so many
in person. Your commissioner's behind you, and we're trying to be a professional podcast, and you couldn't give me a rundown still.
I should grab him, shouldn't I? It's the beauty of
Hyman right there too. So.
Yeah, it's the beauty.
To be fair,
sitting behind Jake is Avery Johnson. Now
to write it up.
Yeah,
everybody's here, dude. Like it's not
This is just we are figuring this out as we go, and that's kind of part of the chaos of.
Okay, well, let me I just want to add. Here's the deal: the 5+11 model is, I think, the most, I guess, I want to call it American in terms of earning your way to win a national championship. If we're going to start handing out. Yeah, if we're going to hand out like 4 to the Big Ten, 4 to the SEC, well, guess what? It becomes essentially we're just handing them out. I like the 5+11. You make sure that at least there's representation from across the 4 Power Fours. You give the G5 the representation, and then the other 11. Yeah, if the Big Ten or the SEC are the best conference in a given year, then yeah, guess what? They're going to get the lion's share of those conference invites, the actual invites to the CFP. That very well may happen every single year, but I still think it's the most, I guess you want to call it American model, is to have the 11 at-larges.
I like that Jake stopped just short of calling the other models communism. He was very close. Very close.
Very close.
I love that he used just like American instead of using communism. He was like, this one would be more American.
The most democratic, you guys. That's democratic.
But here's what I will say, and I don't mean to we should probably get away from that actually with my next point, because I think that that's fair. I don't have faith, because we'll talk about this in December when they do the deal or whatever, I'm sure, that in this first year of it or whatever, the first year it happens, that we won't just get that, because they'll tell us about how, well, the SEC does this, the SEC does that, because of their preseason AP rankings that we've talked about ad nauseum, or because of the people that put in the NFL draft that we talk about ad nauseum. And like, it's like they won't look at the fact that the class of 2026, that's a bunch of 5 stars, went to a bunch of Big 12 schools. They won't look at head-to-head. It'll be like, well, yeah, Houston played Oklahoma super close, but like, whatever, Alabama beat, or they'll do some other thing, which is funny because Oklahoma actually beat Alabama pretty bad. But I think that they're still going to fall back to that narrative in the immediate future. I think the big thing here that's interesting is that Yormark, like so many things, is thinking about what happens after that. What happens after one of our schools wins a college football playoff, shall see Houston do it, right? Or whatever, and you're looking at like, okay, they showed it can be done. Now we'll get that second team. Oh, they both won a playoff game. We'll do that third. He's looking past that, even though in the immediate future, I do think it's going to hurt kind of bad.
Yep. I do want to really quick just give the College Football Playoff Committee credit. They did the right thing by putting SMU in last year. I hope that they continue to do that. They haven't completely gone off the deep end and only Big Ten and SEC. They did the right thing last year. Hopefully,
you mean the SMU that BYU beat head-to-head in Dallas?
Oh my gosh, y'all did not deserve to get it. We can do that on another show. I'm sorry. I'm not for this push like post that. Then all of a sudden we get BYU. Hey. No one was talking about that.
We got Locked on SMU now. Shout out to that guy.
That's true. There you go. Yeah.
Hey, Locked on SMU.
Locked on Ponies, right? Or Locked on SMU. I don't know what they call it.
Something like that. Coming up, let's talk about the Big 12 being the deepest conference in college football, because I agree, JT Wistrcell does not. This is a special Big 12 Media Day squad.